Arguably, the best part of developers offering their own interpretation of a genre is the experience caters to different people. I can't say I'm a big fan of slow and methodic games, so something fast-paced like Nioh has always spoken to me. There's a certain rush that comes from unleashing a frenzy of attacks while dodging everything an enemy has to throw at you. It is clearly something a lot of players appreciate, which is why I was so excited for Nioh 3. With the previous games providing a solid base, coupled with countless lessons learned over the years, is it a must or did the franchise peak in the past?
絵描きの方が向いてるやもしれん。
国松様。
私は好きだがな。さて、頃合いか。
So, let me start by saying, knowledge of the previous two games are not required. It can help with some of the mechanics, dealing with certain enemies, and add some nostalgia to a few bosses that return, but you're not really missing much. As for the actual narrative, players are tasked with dealing with the Crucible, which is basically a corruption plaguing the world. It takes place during various time periods, though most of the charm hinges on knowledge of Japanese history. Notable people appear, with ties to certain elements related to that time period. Though, for the most part, it's pretty forgettable. It also doesn't help that some dialogue appears during transversals, which isn't the worst mechanic, it just isn't the best in this particular genre. But, if you like this kind of thing, it's a serviceable story, complete with several side missions and optional events to further expand the world. Naturally, the main attraction is going to be gameplay.
人は古より戦乱の歴史を繰り返してきた。そして将軍。
On a basic level, Nioh 3 has all the usual mechanics. There is a block, dodge, deflect to go with light and heavy attacks. There are also a wider variety of weapons, each with their own moveset. In addition to this are magical abilities, summons, and various ninja staples. One of the most interesting mechanics is the ability to swap between ninja and samurai on the fly. Both sides have unique movesets, even when using the same weapon type, though each has their own use case. Ninja is more about fast attacks leveraged through quick dodges and several tricks to decimate anyone who stands in your way, whereas samurai generally use slower weapons, encouraging a more measured style of play between thoughtful heavy attacks. Both sides also have a lot of nuance. The ninja side really shines when playing into ninjutsu. I can place a bomb, bait an enemy to step on it, ultimately creating an opening. It's also really easy to inflict status ailments. Just throw a couple shurikens and boom, done. Samurai feels best when different stances are understood. Maybe the fight starts fast, so I want to use a faster stance. Whereas if I don't get many opportunities, it might be better to maximize whatever damage I deal. Though, just to be clear, even if these mechanics exist, it's entirely possible to ignore one side and finish the game. I personally found ninja easier, despite a few bosses favoring the samurai approach. All this is going to come down to builds. One thing I love about Nioh 3 is each location, and to a lesser degree enemy, plays into certain elements. Some of these are easily defeated with ranged attacks, others melee, a few magic, and some can just be blindsided with the right tactic. While all of this is honestly fairly standard, I appreciate enemy attacks follow the same logic. For example, magic can't be fully blocked. So blocking will only go so far. Deflecting can fully block it, with the cost being timing. It's a standard high risk, high reward play. It plays out in a more interesting way than it honestly sounds. Even if my core tactic didn't change much, the way I approach the number of encounters vary wildly. Sometimes the best approach was relying on ranged attacks, whereas other bosses are far more manageable at close range. Others push me into magic or encourage a different samurai stance. It also says a lot that a lot of different tactics come off as overpowered. I imagine at release a definitive meta will be discovered, though it's nice that so many different things have a place if they play into your particular play style. Though, all of this hinges on the ability to survive. Discussing difficulty in a game centered around the concept is always hard. There can be a substantial difference between where I draw a line and someone else. A lot of complaints, regardless of how valid they may seem, are often the result of skill issues. So, I just hope that people approach this section with an open mind, and perhaps don't take it too literally. That said, I think most of Nioh 3 is in a good place. When I play into the mechanics, the vast majority of sections are quite manageable. Normal enemies can put up a fight, can absolutely best me if I make a mistake, though not so imposing multiple foes is a guaranteed loss. Sometimes it makes things easier, as I can throw a bomb or an AoE to slowly weaken the lot. As for bosses, look, it's complicated. It all goes back to my earlier comments about pushing different approaches. Early on, they're straightforward changes. One boss is slow, another is fast, and that's one uses magic, all asking me to adjust to their gameplay loop. Later, they rely more on increasingly divisive tactics, these being multiple attackers, limited stun potential, 10 or so attack combos to insane lock-on. And I want to be clear, all these are doable with the right tactics. It can just be somewhat annoying. Losing because I didn't block at the right time is perfectly fine. Failure is an opportunity to learn. Maybe on the next run I block instead of deflect. Maybe the right play is jumping over their attack. In some situations it might be worth taking some magic damage because the timing is rough. But it's less fun when these mechanics feel oppressive, where it isn't hard as much as it just feels tedious to do anything. Surprisingly though, I felt this more during transversals than any of the bosses. Situations like the fake cover during the archer section or getting shot through a small hole from a chain gun, something that can absolutely be bested with a better tactic, though doesn't feel particularly engaging to lose to. Generally speaking, Nioh 3 played fine. It was rare to see a dip, and the few problems I ran into were solved by reopening the game. The only real downside is sometimes inputs are temperamental, like there's this one move I can't consistently perform. Well, less one move and more one input, that being down and triangle. For whatever reason, it just does not work consistently for me. Another uncommon issue is double jump not working. I'm not entirely sure why, but boy does it suck having double jump failed, resulting in a wipe. Co-op is in a weird place. On one hand, it's really cool being able to play the game with your friend and try to overcome the various challenges. But on the other hand, it can have a substantial impact on difficulty. In its current form, it feels really forgiving. Bosses that would normally put up a substantial fight were bested in 1, maybe 2 attempts. For some, this is a boon, though for others, it might take away from the charm. Interestingly, I don't feel the same way about AI-controlled allies. I messed with these a few times to see what they were like, and honestly, I think they make the game harder. It makes bosses less predictable, though you're still going to be the main target, they're not that aggressive, in addition to occasionally adding new obstacles to overcome. For the most part, I think Nioh 3 is a great experience. It looks nice, enemies are distinct, with gameplay being an absolute blast. I also love how players are encouraged to adapt. Even if I stuck with the same core loop, my approach and tactic would change substantially. It also makes things interesting, challenging players to think outside of the box, along with making weaknesses extremely important to note. And while I think some areas are less than enjoyable to play, I appreciate there is usually a method to the madness. That won't always retroactively make it fun, but there was no point in the journey where frustration replaced enjoyment. And to me, that is more than enough. Hey, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a like, and for more content, please subscribe.